Hey, Joan. Um, I'm laughing at myself because I connected and then I couldn't see anyone. I tried, but then I had actually pressed test tour, not real tour. So I couldn't talk, Angie. Hey, Annie. Well, this haircut actually, it's true, yeah, because you don't, hi, Martin. You don't see me with my hat off, toque off too much, but the haircut's actually about a week old. It was a senior's moment. What's really going? Hi there, hey, Deb. Jill, hi, everyone. Um, Very interesting drive. Haha, it's good. Hey, Lenny. Hey, Pam. Hi. Hey, David. So, hey, Pam, if you're home, I was just chatting with Finn. Hey, T and J. I guess it's cleared up. So I was driving out. Hi, Beverly. I'm outside of the mountains, but I left home. I was going past Canmore, well, around the back of home, and it was almost a blizzard. I mean, it was snowing and windy. Good stuff, Catherine. And then I went down the road and it was saying on the car -9. It was just gorgeous around Lac des Arcs. And then I came up to a place called Windy Gap, which is distinctly windy. And I mean, in less than 500 meters, the temperature dropped to -22. So I'm in the car, but I'm in the car for a very specific reason. So this is, I'm excited to do this. These are fun school. That's right, Annie. Um, it's I think Rosemary might be you. Because I'm not moving, the car's not moving. The trees are definitely not moving. Did they? Well, Pam, I'm skiing Monday because it's meant to be warm. I don't know wind because I'm inside the vehicle right now. You could be hearing my fan. Hey, Lorraine. Look at these gorgeous trees down behind me. The car's not moving at all, anyone. Um, Something is moving, eh? Ah, huh. That's Hi, Christine. It's the aliens. Yeah, it could be the aliens. Well, it's nice and warm. Now, hey, we're on time. Hi, Mary Beth. Ladies and gentlemen, looks like it's rocking, does it? Hmm. It could be a little bit of movement in the car, but indeed, eh? Um, yeah, it's not at my end, and I have 5 out of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, hello for a surprise fun tour. So, if you haven't met me before, my name is Patrick. I live in Banff. I'm about 80 kilometers away from home, I guess. I expect there's only one person on board, a Pam, who knows where I am. You will know the minute you see it. Rock, that's it, Andrew. But I want to do a surprise tour. There's several places along here I've been wanting to do a tour. I want to do a very heavy one day, but this is not a heavy one today. And then I'm going to go into Calgary, see my mom. Had to have a PCR test for COVID. And then it took 6 days to come back, but it's come back negative anyway. So I'm going to go and see mom and do some things in the city. But I just want to talk a little bit where I am. Connection should be fine. Yeah, no, she's great, although we're all going to get COVID at this rate, right? But I am by a tiny community of under 100 people called Ghost. I have come in. Hey, Catherine, there you are. I have come in from Banff. I left Windy Gap. I came out into the Minipini Flats, known historically as Morley. Morley was a United minister who sent out the McDougals here. The McDougals came to evangelize. They were United Church, and their church is up the road. At some time, I'm going to do a heavy tour there. But I am down by a dam. This was dammed. It's the Bow River, the dam, but it's where the Ghost River comes in from the Ghost Mountains. Some of you remember Mount Almer, which we actually saw once on a tour. It's the highest peak around Banff. It's over 3,000 meters. But what I want to do, this is a totally different feel. For many of you, this will be a totally new experience. It's a very flat day out here. There's a very low light. It's -22 degrees Celsius at the moment. But with no further ado, now the windshield does have some color on it, everyone. I am, Anna-Marie. But I don't want to wash it because it'll freeze and get streaky. I don't plan to stay in the car for the whole trip. But as you can see, I'm just in a little parking lot here, right? Ghosts are moving out, named Ghost because this is near the place that treaties were signed. Treaty 7 was signed with the First Nations, but this is where the original conflict occurred between the Stoney Nakoda or Ithia Nakota people, the Sioux language group, and the Blackfoot who lived here. Now I'm down in the snow in the parking lot. I almost didn't get to do this fancy parking lot tour because the police pulled in. Were watching me, but I'm not driving that far. But bear with me, everyone. So here is a big open parking lot. I'm by the Ghost Reservoir, on average 14 meters deep, right? And up to 13 and a half kilometers, east-west, and about 3 kilometers across north-south. And that is a frozen lake out in front of me. And hold on, the brakes aren't working on the car. The brakes aren't working. Oh no, here we go. And now we are driving on to a frozen lake, ladies and gentlemen. So I am now out here on the Ghost Reservoir. And look at this fabulous connection. So let's just have a little fun. I don't know why it's blurry, everyone. I am having perfectly good connection here. Could be the window a little bit. Let's go outside. Now, there we are. Now, it maybe was just picking up. So I am out, literally on ice. There we are. It was the window, yeah. And I don't want to clean it at these temperatures because it'll just get frozen streaks. That's it. Have a look at this. Now, I am on top of ice here. Now, I had actually brought my skates. That was my plan, but it's just I'm not going to be able to skate out here. So, not to show off my vehicle, if anyone wants to buy it, you're welcome to. This is my car above 14 meters of ice right now, sitting out there. So that's where I am. And in the distance, there is a train moving along. There are actually 2 trains changing junction. So where I am in the world. Now, the only disappointment today is that right down there on a clear day, you have a spectacular view of the Rocky Mountains. But there's this big, I'm not calling it inversion. What is gradually forming is a Chinook. And by Tuesday, Calgary is going to be above freezing. What does a Chinook look like? Well, look at the sky in the distance. This is not truly a Chinook, but you get these huge arches that form. So if you've heard of the Mistral in southern France, same formation. It's where cool air comes and compresses, bonjour David, warm air down. It happens about 10 times on average in winter in Calgary. This is the ice road track. I'm happy to talk about it. Now, I'm not going to spend too long outside because it's really cold. I can put my toque on and my gloves on. Yeah, so if it's blurry, it's the windshield. And honestly, I mean, I can try and give it a wipe, but then it gets, it's well insured, all right. See the trains maybe in the distance? But I have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time. Of course, my mom knew Marcia. But on the far side there, that is the Stoney Nakoda First Nation. That is the 3rd largest reserve in Canada. There are three bands that make up the First Nation. They are fabulous people. Let me see if I have any luck here. Yeah. You see, it gets a little streaky, but I can try and clear that up a little bit, everyone. Now, let's go a little further. So in the summertime, there are some ice fishers around the corner, Tracy. I don't want to get too close because they're out drilling holes with their hydraulic auger. What is a hydraulic auger? Well, I grew up hand auging, which is a twister thing where you dig a hole. Yeah, there's another car that's actually just pulled out onto the ice here. So people are ice fishing. This is the Bow River. So the Bow River, of course, starts up at Bow Summit. And I did see, and thanks, Pam, yes, there's probably a meter of ice. Robert, we're on Ghost Lake. So the Ghost is actually a protected provincial area, and that is a really neat area. Sorry, I should put on my seatbelt, I guess. It doesn't beep at me. It's a protected area that comes down off the slope of the mountains, and this is where it meets up at the confluence here. So the Ghost is a pretty fascinating area. It's one of our favorite areas for backcountry activities, but those are people in the distance that have been out ogging. And again, I'm not going to get too close, although I could do some donuts if you want. Now, over on the right, though, you'll see all of that huge debris with the rounded rocks. That's all river rock in there. This is a gigantic glacial valley, of course. Um, and uh, and those rocks, and you can tell when they're rounded like that, they've been carved by water coming through and by glaciation. But you'll see there's two things in the distance here. Um, Now, I'm just hoping it is. Now, we have been so cold that I'm not afraid of driving on this. So the ice road truckers, sometimes people think it's Alaska, and there is a haul road that goes up to Prudhoe Bay in Alaska on the north coast of Alaska where there is oil. I take nothing away from them. But the ice road truckers, as people know them, really are mostly in Canada. Hey, Helen. And the vast majority of them are out of the province of Manitoba. They're going up to the territories and to Nunavut where there's diamond mines. You can actually drive on as little as 12 centimeters, 6 inches of ice, which is a remarkable thing. But let me hop out here for a second. I am going to, if you just bear with me for a moment here, it's cold enough that I have to put the toque on, right? So here we go, because it is cold and I don't want my ears to fall off. The ice road, I would do that. I mean, I would love to go do that, driving in the north. In fact, the oldest permanent community in Alberta is Fort Chipewyan, and Fort Chipewyan is only accessible by ice road. And one of my favorite stories, by the way, the trains are just moving on in the distance. One of my favorite stories is when some fellow decided he wanted to go up and visit Fort Chip, rented a car in Edmonton, went up there, and then the road melted. He had to pay for the car rental for 6 months. But yeah, there's the trains. That's still Canadian Pacific as it's making its way in towards the mountains. All right, and so they've done an interchange. So the town of Cochrane, which I keep promising, and had the weather been impossible here, sometime, because there are people from Cochrane who come on my tours. Cochrane's about a 12-minute drive up the road, and I am going to do a tour there at some point. That is one of the fastest growing communities in Canada. It's really a sleeper community for Calgary, but it's neat. It's got an old Western feel to it. Suddenly, for those of you who've done so many tours with us in the mountains, you will notice how bare these hills are. These hills are bare out here because suddenly, as we're lower at about 1,180 meters rather than 1,400 or 1,500 meters, and the forests suddenly become much more deciduous around here. So we do get gorgeous autumn colors. I'll bring you back here sometime in the summer. But as I wander down, there's a sailboat. Now, that is a sailboat with metal runners on it where people can go sailing on the ice. The structure behind me, Jeff, yeah, in a boat. Well, people do come and water ski here, but you have to be so good. You have to be able to do a boat launch because the water is so freezing cold that you really don't want to fall in. I might see if I go up and see it, but that's a little sailboat. They go so crazy fast. The structure, I think the one you're talking about, Jeff's the one behind me. That's the dam, right? How does it move? With sails, Donna. So what happens here? Now, it didn't happen this year. It did last year. Somewhere I have a video with Finn and I at Lake Minnewanka actually skating on the perfect ice. So this will freeze before the snow falls. Now, this year it didn't really happen. We were over in Europe, and then the snow started falling, and it got very cold. Now, that's great for the ice. But aside from that, then it just all froze up, and it was snowy this year. So, yes, but the little sailboats. All right, Dan, isn't it fun being out here? Now, this goes all the way up. This leads all the way up to the main community of Minifini, and it's the Ithaya Nakota people rather than Stony Nakota people. Isn't it wonderful, is it? So it's a whole different place. So I'm not in the prairies at all. I'm in the foothills of the Canadian Rockies. So over there, those hills in the distance, those are big rolling hills. They're baby mountains, but they're never, ever going to become grown-up mountains. The Canadian Rockies have stopped growing. They've stopped moving, and they're just gradually eroding away. Now, we're going to go back in and drive a little bit more because I haven't put my gloves on, and frankly, it's really cold. So it's minus 22, and this is a natural wind tunnel. Susie, that's a great question. I don't think I've seen them land here. A float plane could. There is on the other side of the bridge that I showed you a while ago, there's actually a marina. People keep boats out here. Do keep in mind that Alberta has an obscene amount of money in certain jurisdictions because of the oil. And when I say obscene, I really mean obscene. And so this little lake is a place where people think it's a really fun idea to come out here and have their yacht for the 3 months a year that it's usable. The water levels change enormously here because it does create power. Of course, it is a power station. I'm glad it's a power station because 60% of Alberta's power still comes from coal, which is a little embarrassing. Now, I don't know these people, so I don't want to bother them too much, but they have got a tent out there and they have been out digging holes in the ground. That's what they've been doing, and they are going ice fishing. So they've had their auger, and they've been cutting holes. Elizabeth, it does get hot this summer. Well, this last summer we had this heat dome, which is ridiculous. You know what? I was going to say hi to them, but they've just gone inside. They have their propane tank there. They're going to heat up. They have holes in the ice, and then they can drill all sorts. Let me answer that in a minute, Sandra. They can drill all sorts of holes all over the area, and they'll put up little tippets, which is a little flag. And then if a fish bites, it goes down, and you have to go pull it up. The fish get really lazy. Remember, we've been talking a lot about it's been so cold. The water expands when it freezes. So that floats to the top and creates this level of ice. The oxygen sits on top and the fish slow down their metabolism. So what we're finding in this water, I am, yes, I'm on a frozen lake. At least I hope it's frozen. but what we have in here are bull trout. You have to throw them back. You have to keep reopening them. Absolutely. Yep. You have to keep cutting them through. And that's how, again, on average, you're getting that sort of 1 meter, 3 feet deep. And it just doesn't need to freeze any lower than that. If it froze to the bottom, you'd wipe out all the life in here. I might just see if I can say hi to these guys. I mean, they'll be friendly as can be, but they're bundled up for the cold. And so they'll be fishing and they'll be going for trout. They could be going for pike. Pike, I don't like to eat pike. They eat pike in Eastern Canada. I don't like to eat it too much. I don't want to get too close because there are holes all through here. But I might just see. This is quite an experience. I would take you all ice fishing, but the only time I go ice fishing is up in the Spray Valley, and I don't have any reception up there. But it does take a certain type of person. We do, Louise, absolutely. Yeah, we have eagles. We have loads of hawks, loads and loads of hawks. Yeah, he gave me a nod. It's so this is where they it's the size of an auger. Just gonna show them your holes if that's okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. Oh, you haven't used that one. All right. Yeah, I was doing a presentation here, so with people like in the UK and stuff that have never seen ice fishing before. So this gentleman's got the whole setup here. It is. What's your name, brother? What's your name? Ivan. Patrick. Nice to meet you. Yeah, there's a hole, everyone. See that? So that one needs to be re-drilled, I think, eh? Oh no, it's open. Flush. Yeah, and I live in Banff and it was -9. Yeah, we're getting the inversion. So there's the gentleman. There's Ivan just clearing that out there, and then they get to go in the nice warm shelter. Yeah, you're setting little tippets up, eh? Yeah. So this is the hole. He's got the propane. I mean, this is the way to live life, huh? Oh yeah, it has dropped a little bit, Pam. Thanks. Yeah, it's a 3 just right here. It's cool. I'll just back up and you see. So, the fish get really lazy in the winter. Say they slow down their metabolism, and you want to try and drop the bait just about right on their heads. But you can get enough food out. So, to declare, it's good. Yeah, just little rods. Yeah, and a lot of them that you can set up all around as they drill the different holes. And there's the reception's coming back. There's the actual auger. Do you see that machine there? Now that makes life so much easier because it drills down. When I was a child, we drilled by hand, and you just twist them around until you get down through the ice. So, well, the rosemary is dedication. It's also just lifestyle, eh? When you have this much winter about half the year, isn't that cool to see? Oh yeah, my reception's dropping, so I'll head back to the car. Thanks, Ivan. Have a good one, pal. All the very best. Take it easy. Thanks. So yeah, you're absolutely right. So clearly that's where I get my line of the reception, everyone. So, but now that gentleman, I could tell by his accent, is actually from Stoney Nakoda. So he probably also speaks the Stoney language in addition to English. But isn't that cool? So yeah, it's my reception has dropped. Hopefully it's good for you guys. Have a look in the distance here. Look at that beautiful light up there. Yeah, so it is just showing me as a a 1. So I'll head back to where I know I have good reception, everyone. Is it better? The room. Um, hold, hold on. Here we go. Yeehaw! All right, we'll head back. Don't worry, we'll get you back, everyone. There we go. Now I am driving at 35 kilometers an hour. If I drive on, there we go. It's coming back. Yeah. So that's clearly where the limit is of reception. If I drive one of the big trucks, like the ice road trucks, you go a maximum of 20, some weird number like 24 and a half kilometers an hour, because you create a wave onto the ice. Well, it was space. So I had a dream last night that I would come down here and skate on the lake. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I literally have my skates here with me, but of course there's not enough cleared off at the moment. But yeah, so those guys are gonna go out there and spend the day having a good old time. I passed whenever you see these sort of clearings, these holes right like that. I did. That's where people have been ice fishing. So there's our reception line. Clearly, that's the line. So I am watching. There is sort of an art to driving on the ice. People come out here and do drifting as well. Yeah, of true boot shot. So let's go up, and I'm not going to go under that bridge. Annie, it's really if the wind comes out enough to kind of clear it, and then people will clear off sections. But it's yeah, no kidding, Anne-Marie. So you'll clear it out yourself in a small area. And then, of course, the big area. There's very clear signs out there about not going near the dam. There's actually an area. Robert, yeah, it's 2017. Oui, David, c'est complètement commune ici par la loi. Yeah, everyone's allowed on the river. But the Stoney Nakoda First Nation, Stoney Nakoda, or Itia Nakoda Reserve, say third largest in the country, is 3 particular bands that are on it. There's about 3,700, 3,900 people, of which about half actually speak their language at home. There is a school. I have friends who work out here on the reserve. And I just wanted to come over and show you in the distance because this is, drifting is fun. Oh, if you lived in Michigan, yeah. So this is much more prairie life. You know, I'm such a mountain person, but it's prairie life out here, of course. Thanks, Donna. Which is flat, right? Like Canada is much more a skating culture, really, than it is a skiing culture. And that's the whole hockey tradition. Now, in fact, I have another couple of things to show you in the time I have. But let me just pull up here for a minute. The one thing I don't do is drive under a bridge ever when I'm out on the ice like this, because you just never know if there's some different flow of ice happening. Look at the color of the sky now, how it's switched, everyone. So there's where we're clearing. These are actually holiday homes up here, which I don't know if I'd want one of those. But right up here, there's a canyon in the distance. This is one of the arms of the Ghost River that comes down here and pours in. I say they believe the origin of the term ghost or Ghost River was actually battles. Yeah, 5-on-5 battles between the Stoney Nakoda people when they came here and the Blackfoot who have been here a whole lot longer. We do absolutely get Northern Lights, Sandra, and you have much more luck with Northern Lights in this area than you do actually in the mountains where I live, just because the sky is just so vast up here. Wouldn't you think it would be really, really neat if we actually saw my car start to tip through the ice right now? But it is clearing up. Well, Annie, and they do up in Norway. It's Ghost, Donna. This is the Ghost. It's not really a lake. This is a widening of the river because of the dam finished in 1929. There was actually, you know, Anne-Marie, there's one of those YouTube ones, and it was actually, I think, in the Netherlands when a reporter had driven out on ice and it broke through. I'm pretty sure I remember that. But yeah, the small town, it's still a town, but it's Cochrane is down in the distance. What is fun, I don't think you're going to hear it. If we didn't have snow on top of the ice here, you would actually hear these sounds of the cracks, and it's a beautiful sound. Hola Maria. It is a deep bass-like sound, boom, and it's not that it's cracking in a dangerous way. It's the opposite. It's because, of course, the ice is expanding. When we're minus 22, and we've been below, like solidly below freezing for over a month now. Jim, what is the water I'm on? Well, I'm on Ghost Lake, but this is the Bow River, just where it was down, but it's where, that is the valley where the Ghost is coming out of Mount Almer and the East Slopes, one of the most isolated parts of the Rockies, and those are the valleys where they reintroduced the bison in 2017. So have a look down here. Do you see? So there's just a little bit of snow, but this is this big black ice here. And so hopefully you were able to get some nice postcards of Ivan there ice fishing. So the ice, Susan, would be about a meter, about 3 feet deep. That's about where it maxes out, and it's supported. Remember, there is water underneath us. The only reality out here is that the water levels do change quite a lot here, and that's because this is actually an active dam. And in the springtime, they can actually use this as a floodway as well when they need to. And it really depends. Like this last year when we had this crazy heat dome, and we went from snow and ice to 40 degrees. Well, here it was 40 degrees Celsius in a matter of a few days. Well, then you get a massive melt, and that creates a risk of floods. Now, I'm looking east now. If I drove back up the other way, isn't it lovely, Andy? If I drove back up the other way, I drove towards Minitini, Morley, but I would pass a very interesting church. So the McDougall family, thanks, Catherine. The McDougals were the first missionaries to come out here. Well, that's not true. Rundle was the first, and the McDougals were brought out by the United Church with the Hudson's Bay Company. They, from all accounts, had a very genuinely good relationship with the Stoney Nakoda people, and they would go bison hunting with them. Hey, salut, Alain. So they had a genuine relationship. But later on, of course, it turned into a mission, and there was a lot of abuse. And as the stories have been coming out in this country, the church was set alight. It seemed to be arson in 2017, although no one was ever charged. And Historical Society set out to rebuild it. The vast majority of the people on the reserve here opposed it, but they did rebuild it all the same, which is a little bit controversial. And I will go and give a proper talk there one day. Yeah, Diane, and it's probably really good under the bridge as well. I just never trust driving under the bridges. I will show you actually because it's a good question. If you look in the distance, there's a little red hut out there. That's another ice fishing hut. And there is back there, believe it or not, a marina. And there's someone else. Oh, there's someone drifting out on the ice having fun, driving in the distance. I don't know. No, Valerie, that's a great question. Yeah, no, I'd leave it running, no problem. There's actually, behind me was where people had a fire. Like, that's how solid the ice is. Now, we have been freezing cold here. Like, I'm really not kidding just how cold it's been. Merci, Martine. I don't know why, Martine, I always feel like I should be speaking French to you, but I'm not sure what your first language is. Drifting is sliding around in circles, right? It's really bored kids, and we have a very, very young very young driver's license. Merci beaucoup. Yeah, now let me just do one more little fun thing, because here is, when we're talking about clearing it off, here's a little hockey rink. Donuts, exactly, Andrew. So this is a hockey rink here. By the way, if you really, of course, I earn my living off tips. If you want a really good tip from me, don't eat yellow snow. That's the best tip I can offer you today. Now that road is private over there, but see, this is very typical. This is where you'd play shinny, and this is pond hockey, which I do play. I play with friends and certainly with Finn. This one is in pretty rough shape, but this gives you a sense now of the ice. This gives you a sense of how deep it is. Do you see all these wonderful cracks out here? This is where the ice is expanded. It's not contracted. Now, I'm right on the ice, right? So this is where you get a flat foot and you bend your knees. And that's how you move along, right? And you see, you can play hockey out here. And if people aren't padded up, then you play it. You keep the puck on the ground. You don't raise it because pucks really hurt. But here, if you want to do a little bit of just art, for those of you who love postcards like I do, look at that down through there. Yeah, I could pull my skates out now and have a look at that, everyone. See that formation? Now these cracks, the Milky, no kidding, Beverly. Welcome, Sarah. Beverly, it is like the Milky Way. Look at that. Isn't that spectacular, everyone? But again, it's being compressed together. It's not breaking apart now. And there's, it's a little community up there. But yeah, that's for Canadians will know about the money in Calgary. Here's another car coming down. So people will be coming down here. The frost fires are spectacular. The other thing we see every now and then, early in the year, if the snow hasn't come in, is every now and then you'll get air bubbles that will go up. It happens on Johnson Lake, and it looks like jellyfish. It's not, but it's so gorgeous. So it is kind of chilly, but I'm going to curve around, and I'm going to drive back up. I would actually go up that private boat ramp, but I just don't know where that road goes if there's another gate that's closed. So I'm not going to chance it. So let's do a little bit of drifting here, everyone. Yeehaw! I never drive like this in the real world. Hi, Mikhail. You're just coming in the last second, isn't it? So here we are. So there's 14, 15 meters of water underneath me, and then a meter of ice on top of it. So now I'm looking back up, and I will, you know what, now that I know that this reception works well out here, I will do this again on a really clear day, because normally you would see the Rockies, the really spectacular front ranges. I do have a few other spots that I'd like to take you to, some beaver lodges, but I'm going to wait for the summer there. Hey, Hiro. Konnichiwa. That's, I am on a frozen lake, my friend. And I'll actually show you, see where people's tracks have been down there. Yeah, Ghost Lake, there's the Ghost Dam right there. So it really is just a bend in the Bow River, but it's where the Bow River meets part of the Ghost. There's actually 3 different sections that come out here. Isn't it lovely, Annie? This is why I put up this kind of just surprise tour. You know, when everything comes together, there's so many places that it's fun to be able to do this. Well, hugs to everyone. So stick with me a moment, but I will not drive on the actual highway. That's the 1A. That's the original Trans-Canada over there. And then the main Trans-Canada is 14 kilometers to the south of me. Hey, Danny, I didn't see you there. Can I do a fast one? Let me try, Phil. Let me see if I can do one for you. Now, I'm not going to overdo it because of, life, but let's try one. Here we are. Woo! That's about the best performance I'm going to get my car to do out here that I'm going to trust. Do have all-wheel drive. So now we're going to drive up and out. By the way, if you'd like to do, you see, this is where people actually had a fire out here. Now, if you would really like to have a horror movie with me, I could take you to the public toilets up there. that's not a place. They're actually French ones. If you've ever heard of Eau de Toilette. It's there we go. I am off the lake. Yeah, we'll skip that one, Beverly. Beverly, I'd love to see your collages off of that one. At least, of course, we talk about the winter myth in this country. And why do we talk about the winter myth? Well, all the awful smells in the days before plumbing all went away, right? We are alive, and I tell you what, I'll give you one last view of the guys who are out there ice fishing in the distance. But it is such a treat. So it took me an hour from home, and then, as always, of course, when I come out, I have tested my my reception here before, because I've always wanted to come and do a tour out here. But yeah, all these driving tours, it is cool, isn't it? Totally different experience. You have one life, and when it's this cool, Christina, you just have to be bubbly and enjoy your life. And it's energetic. I was going to put my gloves on and do a handstand for you, but it's that cold. These are animal prints everywhere. These, I can just about assure you, these are hare that have been hopping along, having a grand old time. So I'm up on the edge of where the river carved all this out. And there's that little sailboat again. So yeah, you pull a sail up, but we get huge gusting winds. Hey, Natalie, is there a new Natalie or is it Natalie? Uh, oh, lovely. Well, welcome, Natalie. It's lovely to have you here. I know the Dutch love ice as well. That's where they're ice fishing down there, and I've seen a few people out there. So the other thing I'm going to do on one of my trips in Calgary is I'm going to test the reception inside the Olympic Oval, and if it's good enough, I'm going to take you to see that too. That's where all the Olympic teams train. By the way, there are towers with a chimney way in the distance. That's a natural gas plant, and that's down towards Cochrane. Cochrane also has a lumber mill. And I know that that flat light to me isn't that pretty, but if I look in the distance here, look at the gorgeous light out there. And so when the Chinook blows in a couple of days, so we're going skiing on. Oh, you're half free, are you? Yeah. Well, statues to cows and everything up there in Friesland. But I'm gonna go skiing on Monday for sure because the forecast is gorgeous. And then Tuesday, I'm gonna try desperately coming to the city because Calgary is gonna be above freezing, and maybe I might even have to put my shorts on. My kid's probably not going back to school because COVID. Danny, big hugs to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to say peace and love. Thank you for coming along. This is so much fun to do. So I'll look forward to the postcards, and thank you, of course, for your tips and everything. Hopefully, cover some of my gas costs here. But keep spreading the word. Anyone who's new, this is how much fun it can always be. I do very serious talks, and one's going to be coming up. So lots of love, everyone. And there we've driven on ice. Now, it's not quite as good as bungee jumping the other day in Uganda, which was particularly wicked. So, all right, everyone. I'll leave you with these views, and my hands are getting cold, so I'm going to nip back into the automobile, and I'll go in and see my mom. Ah, je t'en prie, Eliane. À bientôt, tout le monde. Toda. Gracias. Grazie mille. Obrigado. Tupananchiskama. Abrazos. Oh, and Finn, by the way, I keep forgetting. Finn has a tour at 1 o'clock, and I think he might go and climb a mountain. So, 100% joining on Finn's tour. Lots of love, everyone. Oh, there's Finn T. Haha. There it is. All right. Peace and love, everyone. Take care.